morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and incidents in pop culture to see how those incidents affect our daily lives. Listen, we done picked up a new show, y'all. We done picked up a new show. I took a little break because after our Bel Air show had gone off, I thought I'd take a little break. I had a lot of shows that I wanted to watch for you. So today we have picked up the third and the last season of Atlanta. Danny Glover, Lakeith Stanfield, and I can't remember what Paperboy's real name at this point is, but y'all know who we are talking about. So we're going to pick up on season 3 and episode 1 now. But as we left off, Earn and all of them were going overseas to tour with Paperboy. And Earn was kind of, there's a lot of stuff going on with Earn. There's always a lot of stuff going on with Earn. But at the end, his position in his job as Paperboy's manager was in jeopardy because there's some things that Paperboy needed for him to have in place, and he didn't have it in place. He was also having some issues and problems with what's her name? Is her name Zan? I think her name is Zan. The mother of his child, because they find out that their child is actually a gifted child and should be in a school that's a little bit more advanced than the school that she's in, and that requires money. It's a private school, so that requires money. So Zan has moved back in with her folks for now. So that's how we left that off. So then we start into the third season, episode 1, which is entitled 3 Slaps. Now, as it starts off, there's these two gentlemen, one black, one white. They are out fishing in the night. They're out there fishing, and then the white guy starts to tell the black guy the story of the lake that they're living on, because he was talking about how murky the water was and all this other stuff. And so the guy explained to him that there's a whole town, a town where it was predominantly black. They decided to build a dam in Georgia, and that's how they got Lake Lanier. And so I've heard a lot of stuff about people drowning out there in Lake Lanier. I heard a lot of people drowning out there in Lake Lanier. And partly that's what it has been, because when they want to make a dam or something like that, they usually find the place, or this is just American. This is American history. This is nothing that I am telling you that is odd or different. Anytime that they have something that they want to put forth, whether it's a dam, whether it's the dump, where they dump the trash that they collect, those types of things like that are usually located near very low income areas, and more than not, you'll have very low income black folks, low income white folks, low income immigrants. So they'll dump those things in those areas, and so those people will usually have a lot of health disparities, because if you live near the dump, you're around a whole lot of trash, and the way it smells and people's waste and all that kind of stuff, and all that stuff will wafts over into your home, and that is bringing little critters and all kinds of stuff going on. But we don't want to get into that. But the white guy is telling the black guy this information, and then the white guy turns into a little monster or whatever. So then it pans to a school, and we meet Laquarius. And Laquarius is a little young. He looks to be about 12, maybe 13 years old. Little black boy, cute little boy. And he's in class, and just like with any class or anything like that, he can be disruptive. Just basically, what we see is that the teacher explains that they are going on a field trip, and they're going on a field trip to see Black Panther 2. That didn't age good, did it? They're going to see Black Panther 2, and he's excited. So I don't know if you've seen the little video, the little meme where the little boy is dancing when he heard that they were going to see Black Panther, and he gets all on the desk and they're dancing and having a good time. He persists to do that. Excuse me, y'all. It is allergy season where I'm at, so I apologize for that. It's allergy season, honey, and you can hear it in my nose. Well, anyway. He gets proceeds to dance on the desk. They're trying to get him to stop, but he just won't stop. He just once he starts and he got that attention, he just wouldn't stop. So it ended up that his parents were called. Now it was his mother and his grandfather, and I couldn't tell if that was his grandfather for real, or was that old man she's sleeping with. I couldn't tell. They made it a point to say you're LaQuarius' grandfather, and he. So I couldn't tell how that was really working out. No one made any assertion that wasn't the grandfather, but the way I was looking at it, it just seemed like she a sugar baby and that's her sugar daddy. But I could be wrong. So then they call Aquarius' parents, and the mother is upset. She says, you all keep calling me down here because he's acting up in class. He says, why don't you give him detention? So the guidance counselor comes in and she introduces herself and she says, well, I think he would benefit, maybe that the coursework is too challenging. And the mother's like, no, there's nothing wrong with my son, and you're not going to put him back just because he's acting up. Send him to detention like you've been doing. He says, if that's something else we need to do, we need to think about let's do something else. And I don't think the work is too challenging. It may not be challenging enough. He might not be having something to do that's going to hold his interest long enough. Because we're always quick to think that our kids are slow, more so than the information given doesn't capture their attention. So then Aquarius, the mother does like mothers do. You want to dance in school? This is what you want to do? Well, then let's dance. And so she has him in the hallway dancing. Now the white guidance counselor is appalled. Basically, the mother is like, if this is what you're going to do, you want to dance, well then dance. Let's dance all the time. If you come to school to learn, you don't come to school to dance. And the mother tells him a very poignant thing. And I wrote it down because I thought it was serious. If you don't use your common sense and act right, these white folks gonna kill you, baby. Remember them words. So the guidance counselor, as you can tell, she is appalled at what she sees. And so I guess she calls Family and Children's Services. So when she does that, Family and Children's Services come to the house. So the mama's like, okay. She's thinking that the son called on her. She's not realizing that it was the guidance counselor. But she tells the son, okay, so you don't want to be here? Fine, you ain't got to be here. And so Aquarius is a little upset because he knows that he didn't call and he doesn't want to go. And the mother is like, no, go on over here. This is where you want to go. You want to act up. You don't want to be here. Go. This foster home. Now, all disclosure, in another life, I used to be a social worker and I used to do Family and Children's Services. And when this woman brought this kid to this house and she brought them directly to the house, I was like, wow, I know it's TV. I was like, well, that was kind of quick though. And you didn't do no paperwork. Where's the stuff that you need to do? Who are these people? They seem a little shady because she didn't go into the house. I knew something was shady because she dropped him off and she didn't go into the home. She just dropped him off. She didn't go into the home. She didn't sit down with the foster parent. She just told him, she's standing at the door. She gives him the name. Then he comes in the house and then he walks in the house and he's like, oh, it stinks in here. Well, they claim it's kombucha. Now, when you go into the house and look at the surroundings and look at what's going on, it's worse than what he was at home. I mean, they claim that they're making kombucha and all this other stuff, but you look around the house and the house is full of stuff. They've got a whole bunch of stuff just hanging around. It looks a little junky. The two ladies that are there, apparently they're in a relationship. They seem to be a little odd. Not that they're in a relationship, but something about them. They seem like they're the ones that need some services. Because let me see if they called their names. Amber. So one mother is named Amber. And she's real, at first she's really, because I've already watched it, but I'm just trying to get their names. Oh, so there's Laney, Yves, and Fatima. So everything that he says, and that was the thing that stood out to me. Sorry about that, but I just had to get their names. That was the thing that stood out to me. It was like when the kids were quiet, extremely quiet. And so everything that he said, they tried to act like that it wasn't happening. He says, "Ooh, it stinks in here." "Oh, it doesn't stink in here. And you're going to call me mom." No, that's not how it happens. They don't come in and call you mom. They could call you Mrs. So and so, such that, unless they get comfortable in calling you that. You don't. when I was there, you did not have a child call you by a moniker like that. Because 9 times out of 10, even though if their mother wasn't doing what she was supposed to, they still had a mom, and they had an allegiance and alliance to their mother until they couldn't, until they didn't. So, and if you're working on reconciliation, you don't go into somebody's house and they call them mom like that. So he goes into the home. They show him around the home, and they show him where where he's going to sleep and bunk. All the kids are in there. Now, the little girl seems sick. Something's wrong with her. She seems sick. But they have been so traumatized. They seem traumatized because they're not speaking. They're not doing anything. They're eating and all this other stuff. And let me tell you about this eating, child. Miss Amber can't cook worth of nothing. She says that they're finna have fried chicken. That lady dipped that raw chicken into that flour, put it in the microwave for 8 minutes, and these kids are eating that chicken. I almost screamed. You can still see the blood coming out of the chicken. You know, it's like, it looked like it was just half cooked. It wasn't fried, so the flour never turned any color. It's just white. So she's just dipping the chicken. She's literally just dipping the chicken into the bag of flour. So unsanitary. Then she's taking it and putting it in the microwave and then nuking it for 8 to 12 minutes. And then they're having like some green beans and salads. And apparently they make kombucha and sell it at the fair and all this other stuff. They're just doing a whole lot of. The Amber's partner seemed really odd, and she seems to be very, very mean. Because I can't remember what her name is, the actress who plays her. But I remember her playing in a situation. She was a teenager, and she was mean. Like, she was like a real mean type of character. But, you know, they got those kids there. I don't care what none of y'all say. I think they got those kids there just to get some money. But let's fast forward. So they got Laquarius there, and he's making, he's complaining. And they are basically in his face like, you don't complain, you work, you do whatever. And then things started progressing. Then I started looking like, how is he looking? And then it hit me. They had him dressed in like this fedora hat. They had gone to the market, and they were selling the kombucha. And he saw a cop. And he ran, and Laquarius ran, and he hugged the cop. And he was like, please, I don't want to be home. I don't want to live there. But my foster parents, they're weird, or whatever he was telling the cop. So, and then this comes with that privilege. And I know a lot of white people will be like, oh, there you go again with privilege. Well, this young black child, this is a child that went to a police officer and explained that he was not comfortable where he was at. He was supposed to have listened to this child. So when the foster parents come up and they're like, oh, well, we're the foster parents, what's the wrong? And they do this little charming the police officer, he believes them without question. And don't say, and it takes another, don't take another look at the other kids or him, and he sends them back. Fine. Well, I don't know what happened, but there was a black social worker that came through, and she was doing a well check. She comes in, they were like, well, where is so-and-so? She's our caseworker. She was like, well, she's on leave. So apparently something has happened with that social worker, where they have found some discrepancies. So they've got this looks like a social worker supervisor come out there to review what was going on. And she was on her business because she was talking about their license. She was like, I can't find any information from y'all from this county. They, you all were there, and then all of a sudden, there's no information. And they're like, well, something with the paperwork, da 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 da. Well, they knew they were caught. What it looked like to me is that the first social worker was fudging a little bit. So, fudging whether or not they were still licensed, or she was licensing them when they weren't up to code, because you could tell by the house and where they kept the house that it wasn't up to code. She was also, she was probably giving them a little money under the table, because I remember earlier in the episode, they kept talking about money issues and that there's not going to be that much more money anymore. So apparently something had happened with that social worker. So, and there was some kind of deal being made with the Amber's partner with that social worker, it seemed, because the next thing you know, the lady is seeing the girl that was sick. Remember I talked about she was sick. That baby probably had salmonella because she was eating that raw chicken like that. uh, the lady comes and she's going around and she's looking because she sees that the baby's sick. Because the running joke in the house was the washcloth. All of a sudden, nobody has any washcloths. Amber nor the woman uses washcloth to bathe. They just rub the soap on them. But anyway, that's not even here or there, y'all. But basically, there's a whole series of things, and what's happening is the Amber's partner kills the social worker, beheads her, puts her head in the freezer, and then I guess her body is someplace else. That happens all while she's there. The kids don't know what's going on. L'Aquarius gets up in the middle of the night because he wants something to eat or something to drink because he's hungry because the food that they cook is in his opinion it ain't good, and so he's always hungry. He used to have a bag of nuts, but I guess he's run out of those bag of nuts to keep him from being hungry. He goes down there and he sees the woman's head in the freezer, and the Amber's partner sees that he sees, and then they hatch this plan that they're going to kill themselves. Now, when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is an adaptation of what happened during the Black Lives Matter. There was a couple who was adoptive and foster parents, and there was a little boy. There was a picture, it went viral because this was during the time when there was a George Floyd protest, and they were protesting. This particular family made the news or went viral because the little black boy had run up to hug on the cop, and he looked, he was hugging for dear life. He looked scared, but the way the spin was is they were like, well, these two white ladies, well, we're the parents, and we just want to talk about peace and love and everybody get along, and it was a whole big old spiel. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, you find out that this same couple takes their children, put them in a van along with this little boy, and they drive off a cliff, and they fall up into the ocean or the water, some kind of, and they all drown and die. And so I was like, oh Lord, please don't let this happen. And then that's exactly what happened. I'm not going to spend too much time with that because I get triggered like that. But basically what happened was that the Amber and her partner hatched a plan because they know that they've killed their social worker. So they've hatched a plan to commit suicide with as a family. But let me tell you what pissed me off. They're okay with killing these kids. But baby, their hearts were wrenched because they couldn't kill the dog. They didn't let the dog go down. They didn't want the dog to go with them. So they make a stop so that they can free the dog into the wild. They don't want to take the kids and let them go someplace else. They rather take themselves and kill the kids, but they'll free Willie. I can't remember what the name of the darn dog was, but they were going to free him, put him out in the woods. And she was, Amber, who was the foster parent, was all upset and crying because she didn't think that the dog was going to be able to survive. Triggered. Tap. So we're just going to conclude this as to being, what happened was L'Aquarius had gotten out of the van. He peeped what was going on. He figured it was going to be something going on. He got the children out. He made the back look like the kids were still back there. And he was the last one. So when they looked back there, they saw like the breathing and stuff. So they figured that all the kids were back there. And his hat was up towards the front. So as they were driving off, getting ready and accelerating, getting ready to go over the bridge, Amber's partner, because Amber was the one that was driving. The partner convinced Amber to drive, child. She was accelerating, and so Amber's partner looked back, and the daggone dog was in the car, and her eyes get big, and L'Aquarius jumps out just in the nick of the time as they're going over the bridge. So the foster mother and her partner are dead down in the ravine. And L'Aquarius saved himself and he saved the kids. He left the kids on the side of the road and he walked home. I don't know how far away they were from home, but he walked home. He ended up walking home, and I don't know how much time had passed, but if it was a week, if it was 2 weeks, I don't know how much time had passed that Laquarius was in this home. But he walks home, and his mom was like, he walks home, he comes in, because they have a key at the door. He goes in, he started washing them dishes, cleaning them clothes, making sure that house was clean. The mother comes in and she said, "Oh, you decided to come back." And he was like, "Yeah, so I guess there'll be, he realized what his mama was basically telling him. You act like you ain't got no sense. You better get in here and do your work, because these white folks will kill you, because they all have these good intentions. But those two people didn't have good intentions. There was some kind of scheme being ran. Can't give you all of that, but I just know there was some kind of scheme being run, and they done killed that black social worker for that, just because. So we didn't see. The next thing you know, we see Ern, and he's waking up. So I don't know if this was a dream that he had, if this was something that was going on in their universe. I don't know exactly what it was, because this seemed like an episode. It didn't have anything, Paper Boy and Lakeith Stanfield's character wasn't in there, so I don't know exactly where this episode places in the whole thing. But like I said, if it was a shock, I mean, I don't know if it was for shock value. I don't know the reasoning behind to have an episode like this. Like I said, the things those were the things that stood out to me. This gave me a Law and Order tease. I ain't gonna hold y'all. Like they rip stuff from the headlines. This is what that gave me. But y'all tell me what y'all think about it. I'm gonna move on to episode 2, and I will do that video. I may chop this up, then combine them both. But if not, please like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what you think about this first episode of Atlanta. And yeah, as always, people, I apologize because some things trigger me. And once I'm triggered, my attention span just go bloop, bloop, bloop. So let's hope this second episode is more to par of what's going on with Atlanta, y'all. All right. As always, bye-bye.